Welcome back to Read This Next with Laura and Nicole from the Thunder Bay Public Library. Today we are continuing spooky season and discussing more spooky and thrilling reads.
Yeah. So once again, kind of a grab bag of spooky. We've got some more literary side, some that are like, I think we've got a science fiction horror in one. I think we've got a fantasy horror. We've got like a straight up regular horror. So lots, something to everyone's taste, hopefully.
Always.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Unless you're like, I hate Halloween. In which case, go check out our previous episodes.
Exactly. That's quite right. Okay. So this first one that Nicole's going to do, we have a personal staff review that it was excellent.
We've both heard this review at this point. Do you want me to explain the book now?
Indeed.
Okay, and then we'll tell you what that staff member fully said. This is Just Like Home with our favorite friend, Sarah Gailey. Never fails to impress us. Okay.
No.
Come home, Vera's mother called, and Vera obeyed. In spite of their long estrangement, in spite of the memories, she's come back to the home of a serial killer. Back to face the love she had for her father and the bodies he buried there. Coming home is hard enough for Vera, and to make things worse, she and her mother aren't alone. A parasitic artist has moved into the guest house out back and is slowly stripping Vera's childhood for spare parts. He insists that he isn't the one leaving notes around the house in her father's handwriting, but who else could it be? There are secrets yet undiscovered in the foundations of the notorious Crowder house. Vera must face them and find out for herself just how deep the rot goes. Sarah Gailey, man.
Yeah, always good stuff. Interesting premises. There's a connection actually between this book and a book that we worked in our last episode called Hide. That's the one where it's like a super spooky game of hide and seek.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And they're like, they have to hide to win money, but also live.
Something else going on. Anyway, the main character in that one, also the child of a killer.
Oh
so,
yeah.
If that's something, I was going to say something you're interested in.
If you're interested in that, go check out these books.
Seeing how different authors talk about the childhood trauma of that particular type and how it influences someone growing older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? I don't think I would want someone, like, if I had a spare, I don't think I could be a good landlord or a good, like, roommate if someone rented my back shed or something. I think I'd be scared, and I think these kind of books support that.
Yes, that's fair.
It's a very specific fear.
Yeah, lovely cover as usual.
Oh yeah.
Gailey. Okay. Oh, and our coworker who recommended it found it very, very spooky.
Yeah, I told her that she should not have read it because she is a very fearful person, and I was surprised that she had read it. And she said it was great.
Yeah, a lot of horror and thrillers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if someone who doesn't like scary things in real life can read it, it's a good one.
It's true. Okay, so this next one is it's interesting because it's a premise that we already know about because it's been done once by an author already, and it's been done so well. It's kind of like this is the definitive. So I feel like this author had to be pretty brave actually to be like, I'm going to do my version of this. I know that everyone is going to measure it against this one.
Yeah.
That already exists, but I'm going to do it anyway. So this book is called Number One Fan, and it is similar in plot to Stephen King's Misery.
I have not read it, so I would not know.
Okay. Do you know what the plot of Misery is?
No, please tell me.
Oh, okay. So it's about the main character is a writer, and it's been a long time since I read it, but I think he's in an accident and he ends up being rescued by like a car accident, and he's rescued by someone who is like, I'm your like number one fan. I'm your
I'm
biggest
your
fan.
biggest fan. I'll
And
follow you.
I'll follow you. Yes, that's it. And
Oh.
she, but she is not impressed with him because I think it's like he killed off her favorite character in the most recent book, or whatever
Mm-hmm.
reason she's not happy with him. So she is going to keep him there with her until he does what she wants, basically, with the story.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
super famous movie as well. Kathy Bates plays Annie Wilkes. She is a horror icon for the ages. So it's like very big shoes to fill, basically. But so I'll read you the description for this one. Yeah, it's called Number One Fan. It's by Meg Ellison. On her way to a speaking engagement, best-selling novelist Eli Gray gets into a cab and accepts a drink from the driver, trusting that everything is fine. She wakes up chained in the stranger's basement, with no close family or friends expecting her to check in. Eli knows she needs to save herself. She soon realizes that her abduction wasn't random, and though she thinks she might recognize her captor, she can't figure out what he wants. Her only clues are that he's very familiar with her books and deeply invested in the fantastical world she creates.
Mm.
What follows is a test of wills, as Eli pits herself against a man who believes she owes him everything and is determined to take it from her. Terrifying and timely, set against the backdrop of convention culture and the Me Too reckoning, Number One Fan
Mm.
unflinchingly examines the tension between creator and work, fandom and source material, and the rage of fans who feel that they own fiction.
Ooh, very like parasocial relationships as well in there.
Very much so. Yeah,
Yeah.
where he feels like, and it's interesting because that one of the ways it differs from Misery, um in as much as I remember Misery, which makes me feel like I probably should have maybe reread it if I'm going to make all these comparisons, but that this guy, he is obsessed with the author herself, but he's also obsessed with the author as a representative of her main character.
Mm. Oh,
Like
so
he's
he's kind of
completely,
comboing.
yeah, like he's completely fused them in his mind. And yeah, it's pretty, it's very the usual like abduction scary stuff, but then also this sort of complicated mystery where she's trying to figure out like what exactly does he want from her?
Yeah.
And willing to what is she willing to compromise, like basically go along with, to try and, well, get him to like keep feeding her and giving her food and stuff, but also like, is she willing to play along with what he's saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then where it says like it gets into like fandom ownership and Me Too culture. um I guess I don't know, I guess this is a spoiler, but there is like an aftermath
Oh, from this
after
incident.
the abduction. Yeah, after the
Okay.
incident. And and it's very revealing, and it's very interesting about the ways that men and women's stories are believed.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty frustrating ending, the way some of the things play out. It's realistic, because unfortunately we've seen the ways that, not this exact situation, but similar ones have played out,
Mm-hmm.
where women are not believed,
Yeah.
but the man is given
A
every
pass.
benefit of the doubt possible, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's kind of different kinds of horror happening here. It's
That's
a
cool.
good one.
Yeah. So you've obviously read this one then.
I have read this one.
Nice.
I think maybe this list, most of the ones that I'm going to read, I have read, I
Oh,
think.
sweet. Okay. Have you read this next one?
No, because this is one of yours.
Yay. Okay. But
Yeah.
it is the Doctor, no, sorry. I was gonna say the Island of Dr. Moreau, but this is the Daughter of Dr. Moreau,
Yes.
by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, who wrote Mexican Gothic, which we've
Yeah.
wrecked before.
And it was a huge title when it
Yeah,
came
and
out.
that was horror as well.
Gothic horror.
Yeah, okay. So for those of you that don't know, I'm pretty sure Dr. Moreau was the guy who had an island where he like made animal humans like combos. Yeah, that might be all we need to
That
know
was
for
the guy.
this.
That is the guy. So this is referencing a classic story.
Yeah, one I haven't read, but I did know existed. It's got a cool cover on that one. Anyways, so this is the daughter of Dr. Moreau.
Mhm.
Uh, Carlotta Moreau, a young woman growing up in a distant and luxuriant estate, safe from the conflict and strife of the Yucatan Peninsula, the only daughter of either a genius or a madman. Montgomery Lofton, maybe, a melancholic overseer with a tragic past and a propensity for alcohol, an outcast who assists Dr. Moreau with his scientific experiments, which are financed by the Lizaldes, owners of a owners of magnificent haciendas and plentiful coffers. The hybrids, the fruit of doctors. I'm messing up like the most basic words. I forgot the word the. The fruits of the doctor's labor. Destined to blindly obey their creator and remain in the shadows, a motley group of part human, part animal monstrosities. All
Oh
of them
yeah.
living, pardon me?
I just said, oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, gross. All of them living in a perfectly balanced and static world, which is jolted by the abrupt arrival of Eduardo Lizalde, the charming and careless son of Dr. Moreau's patron, who will unwittingly begin a dangerous chain reaction. For Moreau keeps secrets, Carlotta has questions, and in the sweltering heat of the jungle, passions may ignite. The Daughter of Dr. Moreau is both a dazzling historical novel and a daring science fiction journey. But it says it's based in the backdrop they said is specifically Mexico,
Mhm.
which is interesting because I don't think the first one specified where it
No.
was. It was just like an island.
Yeah, I think so. Just an island.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is fun. Sounds like I feel like you could probably expect some body horror in there,
Yeah.
probably.
I think almost guaranteed if you don't want to hear like if Dr. Frankenstein was too much for you
Mhm.
about hearing about body parts being put together, I imagine hearing how birds and iguanas and people were put together would be too much.
Yes. On the other hand, nice romance,
Potentially.
potentially.
And there's three people involved, so maybe a love triangle, but the love
Hopefully.
mountain like we called it before.
That's true. Yes, we've got the overseer as well, don't we? Because for a moment
Mhm.
I was like, isn't the third one just her father?
No,
I
it's the
don't
son
know.
of her father's patron, Laura. Get it
Yes, no, we've got
together.
that guy and the overseer. Okay, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it.
yeah. That's a
But
quite
yeah,
the throwback though, eh? The love like not triangle. Wow.
it's not a triangle. Let's be honest. It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so Gothic might be of interest to anyone who read the Mexican Gothic book and enjoyed it because I think a lot of people did. So you may
Yeah.
want to check out anyone.
Yeah. Or if you're just interested in retellings of classic lit.
Mhm.
Seriously.
Okay. This next one, like just came out. Literally like 2 weeks ago or something like this month.
Oh,
And this is an author that we have recommended I think at least twice before.
Rachel
We
Harrison.
recommended other books by this author. So this book is called Such Sharp Teeth. It's by Rachel Harrison. Okay. Rory Morris isn't thrilled to be moving back to her hometown, even if it is temporary. There are bad memories there. But her twin sister Scarlett is pregnant, estranged from the baby's father, and needs support. So Rory returns to the place she thought she'd put in her rear view. After a night out at a bar where she runs into an old almost flame, she hits a large animal with her car. And when she gets out to investigate, she's attacked.
Mm.
When she survives, miraculously, but life begins to look and feel different. She's unnaturally strong with an aversion to silver, and suddenly the moon has her in its thrall. She's changing into someone else, something else, maybe even a monster. But does that mean she's putting those close to her in danger, or is embracing the wildness inside of her the key to acceptance? This darkly comedic love story is a brilliantly layered portrait of trauma, rage, and vulnerability.
Ooh, was this the one that you read recently that you said was new adult? Like
Yes.
ages anyway?
Yes, it is.
Mm.
So, yes. So this is like, obviously a werewolf story. Pretty clear what's going on
Yay!
here. Pretty clear what's going on here. And yeah, it's one where sort of that transition period where you haven't like really totally settled down, but you're out of school, out of university, you're in your early years of your career, basically.
Yeah.
Now I will say I found this to be more of a quick read. It wasn't a real thinker. But that's
Fair.
fine. That's not always what you want, especially with a werewolf novel, right? Don't
Yeah,
want to
I
get
just want werewolves.
don't want to dig too much into the details, because then you might start thinking too hard and things fall apart.
Yeah.
Maybe a light ride is good here. So yeah, the darkly comedic, the romance part they're referring to, so the almost flame from her youth, interesting things with her connection with her sister and then also her mother. There is some trauma in her, like, despite this thing sounding like a really light comedic book, there is like kind of a content warning they'll give that there is some trauma of like childhood sexual abuse.
Mm.
So that's something that she's dealing with as well. But yeah, kind of fun sometimes when there's like a supernatural story and it's not, the characters are like, what's happening? Oh no, is it a ghost? Am I going crazy? No, she's just like, pretty sure this is werewolf.
I
Pretty sure
love
that's what this
that.
is. I think
Wow.
I am a werewolf.
Unnaturally strong, the moon,
The
silver,
moon,
werewolf.
the silver. Yeah, it's gotta be. Yeah.
Nice. I
Very
just, sorry.
practical response
Yeah, I
to
don't
a
think I would be that
supernatural
practical. I would not be.
experience. Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
Speaking of werewolf novels, I read one that we wrecked I think last year, Squad, which was a graphic novel about like a girl gang essentially. I think this
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we had a few episodes where it was like just like girl squads. Um but yeah, that one was, I would check that one out if you're also looking for light werewolf reads, because it turned out it was really cute and it had lots of LGBTQ rep and lots of just like diversity within it, but it was a short, quick read too. So yeah, wreck that one on top of that one.
All right.
Okay, this next one is Dead Silence by
Ooh,
S.A. Barnes.
this is
Um,
our science fiction horror.
It looks very science fiction. It looks like underwater science fiction, which is the scariest type.
It's not that type.
Oh,
Sorry.
is it in space?
Yes, it's in space.
Darn it. You know what's
No one.
scarier than space? The ocean.
I mean, we've explored very little of the ocean, and it is actually on the same planet with us. So
Yeah,
it is
mysteries.
scary.
Write me
Mhm.
a horror book about that. Okay.
That's what last week. Our Wise from the Sea.
Did we? Oh, yeah, we did. Don't like it. Okay, this one says the Titanic beats The Shining. So, okay, a ghost ship, a salvage crew, unspeakable horrors. Claire Kovalik is days away from being unemployed, made obsolete when her beacon repair crew picks up a strange distress signal. With nothing to lose and no desire to return to Earth, Claire and her team decide to investigate. What they find at the other end of the signal is a shock. The Aurora, a famous luxury space liner that vanished on its maiden tour of the solar system more than 20 years ago. A salvage claim like this could set Claire and her crew up for life, but a quick trip through the Aurora reveals something isn't right. Whispers in the dark, flickers of movement, words scrawled in blood. Claire must fight to hold on to her sanity and find out what's really happening on the Aurora before she and her crew meet the same ghastly fate. Ooh.
Like, does nobody have a permanent marker?
It's just like,
Did you
ee,
have to
ee,
write
ee, ee, ee.
in blood? I mean,
Presumably, they've all dried out. It's been 20 years.
that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
Yeah,
So sounds a little bit like shades of oh no, Sphere? Was that what it was called?
I can
That
Google
like
it.
no, I mean it doesn't really matter. But I think there's this very creepy book and movie about a haunted spaceship. Um
I can see that there is one, an ocean voyage, a dark secret, a deadly betrayal, but I feel like it's just a boat in that one,
oh,
so.
even though it's called Sphere.
Oh, I Googled fear. My bad.
Oh,
Let me try that again.
yes, no. I think I want to. Oh no, that's not even the one I'm thinking of. I was thinking of Event Horizon.
Oh,
Never
okay, because
mind.
this search
That's
just pulled up people drawing spheres, so.
yes. Yeah, no, definitely thinking of Event Horizon. I don't know if it's anywhere near that scary because that movie is terrifying. But yeah, sounds spooky.
It does. Science fiction spooky.
Yeah. Okay. Next one. I'm gonna actually jump down the list because I want to make sure that I have a chance to talk about The Lost Village by
Ooh,
Camilla
okay.
Sten. And this one is translated by Alexandra Fleming. Oh, okay, so this one is another book that I've read. And it's another one that I found quite unsettling.
Okay.
Yes, and it is again that sort of we talked a little bit about in our last episode, Honey, that sort of pastoral horror where it's like, well, look at this beautiful place, this nice
Yeah.
village, everything's so nice, and then underneath everything's rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this one, there's kind of two timeline threads happening. We've got kind of in modern day, we've got a documentary filmmaker, Alice Linstead, has been obsessed with the vanishing residents of the old mining town, dubbed the Lost Village, since she was a little girl. In 1959, her grandmother's entire family disappeared in this mysterious tragedy, and ever since, the unanswered questions surrounding the only two people who were left, a woman stoned to death in the town center and an abandoned newborn, have plagued her. She's gathered a small crew of friends in the remote village to make a film about what really happened. But there will be no turning back. Not long after they've set up camp, mysterious things start to happen. Equipment is destroyed. People go missing. As doubt breeds fear and their very minds begin to crack, one thing becomes startlingly clear to Alice. They are not alone. They're looking for the truth, but what if it finds them first?
Ooh.
Yeah, so we're following along this character and her like little documentary crew. But then we're also reading letters that were written to the grandmother
Okay.
from her younger sister who lived in the town prior to the disappearance, obviously.
Yeah.
So kind of this like teenage character whose big sister moved out to the city basically, and she's like, everything's boring, you know.
I miss you.
I miss you. And then it's like, oh, here's the hot news. There's a new pastor in town. He's young and
Oh.
dreamy. And then, of course, like with the benefit of hindsight, we're like, seems suspicious.
Yeah.
And yeah, things go from there. It very much is a story about kind of, well, about like cults basically, because this guy basically sets up a cult. But also just kind of the dangers of that sort of group think where everyone goes along with it, and like no one or only one person stands up against it and everything else just kind of gets dragged along. So
Yeah.
what was normal, the norms just keep getting stretched over and over and over because people, well, that's, if we're okay with that, then we must all be okay with this. And if we're okay with this, then that must be fine, until things get stranger and stranger. And
Mhm.
we do get an answer as to what happened to
Oh,
the
that's very satisfying.
yes. So we do find out exactly what happened to those
What
people.
did you find was unsettling about it? Unless it's a spoiler, of course,
I
but
don't think so. I think the unsettling bit, a little bit, just the idea of like a completely empty, deserted community.
mm,
Like when they're talking about the documentary, people saying like they're going house to house and looking at things and just like it's like people just stopped what they were doing and walked away. It's like
yeah.
what happened to these people? Um, but also I think the stuff about the community changing when they like kind of go into the thrall of this man. And it's a little bit of that, like, you kind of feel like, oh, this is gonna, is he like a demon or what?
What's going on?
Right, what's going on? But it kind of seems like, no, he's just like your average very bad man who wants power and
Very charismatic.
decides the best, and very charismatic, and decides the best way to do that is to like become the leader of a cult, basically. And take an already existing religious structure in a small community and insert himself into it so that he can exploit it.
Change it. Yeah,
I don't know, creeped out by
abandoned towns. Oh.
Abandoned towns and people who go overboard. I don't know. They all start having slumber parties in the church. It's weird.
That is weird.
Weird. I don't know.
Special events only, please.
Anyway, The Lost Village. And that's a novel in translation. So I think it's a little bit like it's a couple years older, that one. But I wanted to make sure I included it because it was quite good.
Is there any chance that that's like a Scandinavian translation? Because I know like you were reading those for a while and they seemed like a different type of scary.
Yes, I think it's entirely possible. It's European. But okay, there you go. Sweden.
There you go.
Lives in Sweden with, I'm looking her up. She lives in Sweden with her American boyfriend and 2 fluffy evil cats.
Cute. We love that. That's great.
Yep.
Okay, which one do you want me to read then? Do you want me to do the yellow one or the pink one?
If you could maybe do The Children on the Hill.
Okay. All right. I will read that one then. Okay. This next one is The Children on the Hill. I'm just moving it so I can see the cover of it. Oh, I like that. It is. Okay. So this is Jennifer McMahon. I don't know how I would pronounce that. McMahon. Okay.
Yeah.
A genre-defying new novel inspired by Mary Shelley's masterpiece Frankenstein, which brilliantly explores the eerie mysteries of childhood and the evils perpetuated by the monsters among us. Okay. 1978, at her renowned treatment center in picturesque Vermont, the brilliant psychiatrist Dr. Helen Hildreth is acclaimed for her compassionate work with the mentally ill. But when she's home with her cherished grandchildren, V and Eric, she's just Gran, teaching them how to take care of their pets, preparing them home-cooked meals, providing them with care, attention, and love. Then one day, Gran brings home a child to stay with the family. Iris, silent, hollow-eyed, skittish, and feral, does not behave like a normal girl. Still, Violet is thrilled to have a new playmate. She and Eric invite Iris to join their monster club, where they catalog all kinds of monsters and dream up ways to defeat them. Before long, Iris begins to come out of her shell. She and V and Eric do everything together, ride their bicycles, go to the drive-in, and meet at their clubhouse in secret to hunt monsters, because V explains monsters are everywhere. 2019, that's quite a big jump. Lizzie Shelley, Lizzie Shelley, the host of the popular podcast, okay, I think I see where this is going, Monsters Among Us, is traveling to Vermont where a young girl has been abducted and a monster sighting has the town in an uproar. She's determined to hunt it down because Lizzie knows better than anyone that monsters are real, and one of them is her very own sister. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I'm so curious how all of that's going to connect. This is one of the downsides of not reading the books beforehand, because I'm like, how will that work? Guess I'll never know. I mean, I could read it, but it's too scary for me.
I could read it. It's on my list.
Let me know if you ever do, because I'm curious. It sounds cool though. Like I like that they're, that it sounds like you're going to get to play through the beginning a bit more than you normally would, and then you get to connect it to the ending again.
So we had a book called Such Sharp Teeth, and then this one is called Such a Pretty Smile by Christy DeMeester. A biting novel. Oh, they're just trying to be punny. Okay, it's about powerful women, angry men, and all the ways in which girls fight against the forces that try to silence them. There's something out there that's killing. Known only as the Cur, he leaves no traces save for the torn bodies of girls on the verge of becoming women who are known as troublemakers, those who refuse to conform to know their place, girls who don't know when to shut up. In 2019, 13-year-old Lila Sawyer has secrets she can't share with anyone, not the school psychologist she's seen, not her father, who has a new wife and a new baby, and not her mother, the infamous Carolyn Sawyer, a unique artist whose eerie sculptures made from bent twigs and crimped leaves have made her a local celebrity. But soon Lila feels haunted from within, terrorized by a delicious evil that shows her how to find her voice, until she's punished for using it. And then we have like there's two storylines going on, only they tell you very explicitly how they're connected. Because in 2004, Carolyn Sawyer, so that's Lila's mom, is like a young woman. And she hears dogs everywhere, snarling, barking, teeth snapping that no one else seems to notice. At first, she blames the phantom sounds on her insomnia and her acute stress in caring for her ailing father. But then the delusions begin to take shape, both in her waking hours and in the violent, visceral sculptures she creates while in a trance-like state. Her fiance is convinced she needs help. She needs help. Her new psychiatrist waves her problem away with pills. But Carolyn's past is a dark cellar filled with repressed memories and a lurking horror that the men around her can't understand. As past demons become a present threat, both Carolyn and Lila must chase the source of this unrelenting, oppressive power to its malignant core. Brilliantly placed, unsettling to the bone, and unapologetically fierce, a powerful allegory for what it can mean to be a woman, and an untamed rallying cry for anyone ever told to sit down, shut up, and smile pretty.
Ooh, I like that. So presumably a little bit of werewolf action in there again, but
Not actually werewolves.
really?
Just
Oh,
more a monstrous figure who has dog-like characteristics.
gross. Okay.
Gross. A little gross. A little gross. Yeah. It's quite a like very obviously like feminist rallying point and like pushing back sort of story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel I'll say a little bit like they had more the book overall doesn't necessarily hold up to the promise of the premise.
Mm.
Feel like it didn't quite make it all the way there for me like it could have. Like I still enjoyed it
Yeah.
and it was interesting to read how it all played out, but I kind of feel like the author could have put a bit more work into the plot basics, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. But the idea and like what's haunting, for lack of a better term,
Yeah.
these two women is pretty disturbing and scary. Yeah, it's
Gross.
another good spooky season read.
Excellent. We have so many good recs this week. I keep saying week, but then we do it every 2 weeks, and I'm like,
True. You got too used to the habit. Too
yeah.
used to the 1 week habit.
All right. Well, I think that's all we have time for today, so I will wrap us up. Thank you, everybody, for watching or listening. We are here every 2 weeks on your favorite podcast platform or YouTube. Just search Read This Next. And we're also on all social medias at TBayPL. You can find our show notes, which include the titles, authors, and all that jazz, because we're very bad at pronouncing things sometimes. Clearly, I looked up fear instead of sphere, so just go
That
to
might be my fault.
Well, I think it's just the online medium. So go to www.tbplofftheshelf.com for that, and we will see you all in 2 weeks. Happy spooky season.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.